When you open it up, on the inside you have all the goodies. First up is kind of my like artist note type idea. After that, it tells you to go up to the tap card, which is in this really cool packaging. And then on the inside, it has a kind of a brief about the whole project and what this card's purpose is, my signature, and then it has your actual card, the access card to the ownership of the board. You just put it to the phone, wherever the NFC chip is, and then it gives you the information about the board. So it has board name, what's the name of the chapter, the serial number, the secret code, which layout it is, and then the grade, and then also gives you access to the owner's portal through a link and password. So this card's pretty important because it lets you kind of know everything about the board in terms of serial numbers and stuff like that. So my kind of thought in this design was that it'd go back in here like this, and then you'd set this aside and kind of your important stuff. Everyone loves the mini mat that we designed. It's perfectly sized for the board, and it's kind of a build mat was the idea, especially with the magnetic weight system. Having something always clean and nice to put the board on, I think was important. And then we have the plate, and then inside you have the black plate. And then finally we have the PCB. This is a hot swap. I'll show you the solder as well. Thing up on the left, this is all of your mounts. So they all are in the same bag, which I really liked. So it has your O-ring, it has your tadpoles, it has your top mount, it has your plate plugs, which I've got to explain all that, and then the extra hardware, but it's all in one nice little bag. This is a custom little pouch to store the emblem. If you get a second emblem, which will be coming later. So it just has the logo hot stamped into it. And this is a custom size I designed for the emblem, and it just folds down like that. And then this is the cleaning cloth, same as I've kind of done in the past. We just went with a bigger size. And then the final thing that I just love is the keychain. It just feels kind of like a Dark Souls prop. Assembly for the board, you're only going to need the single T10, which is by design. This is only needed if you are replacing the daughter board, which is pretty rare. And then this is the special key design that removes the back weight. And it comes on this really cool metal little wire keychain. So these are removable, so you can use these as a driver, and then also they're removable, so you could use them if you have a larger driver. The Ivy Works woven label, you pick that up, and then it reveals the board underneath with the really nice velvet lining. So here is the hot swap PCB. The rotary option here on both the solder and the hot swap, and since it's surface mount, you can remove it and it doesn't interfere with the sockets. All right, so we're gonna go in this bag and we're gonna take out the plate plugs, like so. So there's gonna be 3 in there. The 2 big ones are for the blockers. This is an HHKB, so we're gonna be putting them in the lower corners. And the small one is to support the backspace, because you have an option here. So since HHKB, they're gonna go in here. They pop in the plate just like a switch. Like that. That makes sense, right? One there. One there. So see, they're built in like that. And there's a washer, a plastic washer, and a screw. And then all you're going to do is install it through where the center pole of the switch would be. And they install pretty much just like a screw-in stabilizer, that is. They just screw in just like that. So then the backspace one goes right in here. I guess a support or a blocker to now do the split backspace. So there isn't just a gap there and each side of the switch is supported. And that really helps with the O-ring and just overall acoustics, especially in a hot swap PCB or a hot swap build. Split backspace option, it has the shift option, which is pretty unique. And then the 313 space bar, and then the step caps. You have your build mat down, Picks those two up, has it by the sides, just like that. And you lay it flat. Here is your tadpoles. They are 70 Shore. They are from Geon, so you are able to get other hardnesses if you would like. So they just go into each of the holes with the bulbous side facing backwards on the PCB. And there are 7. I believe I give you 8 though, in case you lose one or your cat eats it or something. Don't let your cat eat this, by the way. Okay, so there's the 7, 3 on the top, 4 on the bottom, and there is 1 extra. With it on the build mat and the case open like that, we're gonna take the key, this little guy right here, and there's a hole right here. Okay, you grab over here, and we're going to push the weight off the magnets on the back. So we pick it up off the table, like an inch, and push this down, and just lift it off. That's all you have to do. And then I take the weight, I put it in the bottom of here, I put the board back, and I put this over here. So with the weight removed, this is what the back looks like. Got a lot going on. The biggest thing is these are 4 super magnets that are set into the board that hold that really, really heavy stainless steel weight on. So once that is done, put the key aside and you want to grab the T10 and you can start removing the 8K screws. All of the hardware are the same because that makes your life way easier. So now that those are removed, you want to flip the board around again and make sure you hold onto it because it will separate. You separate the 2 parts. And then I like to take this part and I put it on top of the case like so. Uses the same driver that we just used, the big one. And this is what I call the cable shield. This also uses its own screw so it can't get mixed up with anyone else. It's also plated in the same color and it is a flush mount. So put that there. And then here's the actual cable shield itself. So this is a piece of polycarbonate that is laser engraved UMBRA after it is blasted. That is where the extra cable length goes. So this actually uses a JST cable from like a TKL size. This is your serial number on the board. This is what ties your board to the tap card and then to your account. How you remove this, it's very simple and very elegant, is you take your thumb and you push on the bottom of the emblem and the top pops up and you stick your finger there and it comes right out. And there's your emblem. And then you take that keyed part there and you line it up at the bottom and it snaps right in, just like that. And then align the key and it's in there. We can come over here and we put the PCB on the back and then it comes right back here and it's super easy to install. The JST is keyed. It will go in only one way. And then I prefer for the tadpole mount to install the top first and then the bottom, and then we grab our top back over here and it just goes on nice and easy, just like this. And you just want to push it down just a little bit, nothing crazy. And we're like gonna half seat those tadpoles into the top of the case. Flip it back over, just like so, and the slack will come right out to the back, just like that. So there's our slack and everything's now nice and perfect. And then we want to push this down. It'll have a kink kind of naturally in it from when I install it. I actually heat the cables up so they have like a memory to them. And I push that down. I take my cable shield, I install that over top of it like so. And then I take my countersunk screw, that goes in there. I take my drive. And you know, just so it's snug inside. And now it's super, super clean on the back. And then I can't show you, but on the inside, of course, the inside is super clean because all of the slack is on the back. And then we're gonna put our 8 case screws back in. I like to do a star pattern. And pretty much just so they're snug. You ain't gotta go crazy. The silicone isolators, you'll kind of feel them squish. There's like a very small amount of squish in them that's engineered. The board's all ready to go, besides the weight. And remember, the weight was in the hard case in the bottom, down here. So we'll pick that bad boy up. The weight is symmetrical in one way, but not another. It's very easy to understand. The side that has the chamfer, that is the top. This way and this way, it's perfectly symmetrical. It doesn't matter which way you do it. The most fun thing, but also maybe the most nerve-wracking thing for some people, you'll get used to it very easily, but it is very different. So I'm gonna hold it from the sides like this, and I drop the bottom lip in just like that. See how the whole thing is in there? And I literally drop it. That's all you gotta do. All right, so we plug it in, and then we're gonna go to our browser. If you plug it into VIA and it doesn't show up right away, like authorized device, UMBRA, connect, and you don't see anything show up here right away, we have to go into the design tab until this is merged in. And then you're gonna come in here, and if you don't have this tab, you gotta go to the far right one, and you gotta click show design tab, and then it's got this paintbrush. You're gonna hit load, go to your downloads, UMBRA. There'll be different ones for solder and for the hot swap because they're wired differently. You want to do which one you have. This is the hot swap, so we'll hit that. It'll load everything in here. You go back to the front, authorize, hit UMBRA, and it loads, and here we go. First up, I'm going to turn off the RGB. Best thing to do is to come in here and just turn it off. Then in layouts, you got some cool options here, especially for a hot swap. I'm going to go split backspace because that's the correct answer. There's also an encoder option. If you click the encoder and you go to key map and you click on the encoder, you can change what the encoder does, which I think is super fun. And then of course you can have a unified full back, but we're gonna go split there. We're going to go, default. I changed this to where the default is the split, but if you want full, you can, it's kind of a pretty look. And you can definitely run that if you also want to run the split spacebar, which is a 313, which I think is really fun, especially coming from AV4. Having this be a function key is really nice, and then you can run the full shift. I think it looks kind of cool, very symmetrical, very different, but this is what I run. And then of course in the key map you can click on anything and change it to whatever you want. I'm going to make this delete, and I'm going to make this backspace, and then I'm going to make this control. And layouts, modifiers, you have your Win key, your Win keyless, and your HHKB, which is what we're running. So you take the alt off, like this. Take the alt off, put it aside. And then you take the key. Remember we had took the key earlier to remove the weight from the back of the board. And I'm gonna take both of these off. Even though it's not necessary, I'm gonna take both off just to give you a better vantage point. See this cut here on the plate? It looks like a keyhole, like an old school keyhole. And remember the key mark on the PCB, so maybe I can see, I turn it right there. See it says KEY? You take the key and it goes through the plate and through the PCB into the back of the board. And you do the same thing, you put your hands over here and you pull up, and that removes the weight. Just like that. So you don't have to disassemble all of this. And then we open up our case and we toss the weight in. And the nice, beautiful, velvety lining where it sleeps and waits. Goes back over there, you come here, you flip the board over, just like so. And you can go a few ways, but I like to remove this first. So you take this screw out, put it over here, just like that. Put this aside, and you leave the emblem on. You don't even have to touch the emblem. And then you take your T10 and you start undoing the 8 screws. Okay, so with the 8 screws out, flip it back over and remove the top, just like so. And remember, it's still plugged in. So with that longer JST cable, we come up here, just like this, and we unplug it. And it pulls right out like that. You do have the option of just pushing the PCB out as well because it is in Tadpole, but if it was in top mount, you wouldn't have that option. So I kind of like to keep it like this. And then this whole kind of get up just comes over here nice and cleanly. First, you want to go back to the mount bag, which has all of your goodies in it. Here is the O-ring, of course. I like to start on the side away from the supports, or away from the backsplit support. And then go to that corner, and then to go to this corner, just like so. And this is a 50A custom-made O-ring. Here is our super long JST again, which makes our life worth living. Goes in very simple like that. I like to put the bottom in first for the O-ring, and that gives me the best fit. So I slide the bottom in and I set the top in, and then what I like to do is to compress the bottom O-ring and then push the top in the remaining way. Take the top again, and we slide that on. It has all the alignment stuff, so nothing to worry about that. We're gonna pick it up, throw it around, and then put the case screws in. Okay, so with that on, we then want to take this cable out, and see now I was able to get it out because it wasn't in there. And we're gonna fold it just as you see how it's folded. It has a memory to it because it's been heated. And then we take the cable shield and we install that. We put our countersunk screw right there. And it uses the same exact drive as the case screws, or the chassis screws. Put the weight on it. The weight, again, is the most intimidating part, I think. There are 2 ways it can go on, but there's one that is right. So the side that has no bevel to it is the back. The side that has the bevel, or the chamfer, which you can see how the light catches it, that is the front. And that's all that matters. It is symmetrical this way and that way. I like to hold it like this, just like that. And then I slide it down. That's why it's keyed like this. And then you just drop it and it's in there. And when you're building it, the feet stay on the board and the emblems stay on the board. So as minimum of removing of stuff as possible. And flip the board over, and there we go. There's our board. So it's custom cut even with the back and for the weight. So it sits in just like that. And then you close this up. And this mat goes up here. So you have it for when you want to build it. And then, of course, you put your tools back together because you don't want to forget your tools. Just like so. That gets closed up. And then these slide in here. Bag of extras. So this one, of course, would have Tadpoles, and then the top mount hardware, your extra hardware. You get the idea. That slides right in there. And then up here you have your extra ESD bag and your plate bag. Again, both of those are recyclable if you want to get rid of them, but you don't have to get rid of them because there's a spot there. And then the whole thing closes up. And there's this, it's got a little handle, and you can take it to school and show all your friends on the playground and talk about Yu-Gi-Oh. All right, everyone, I appreciate it. I will see you soon.